Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Savannah Chrisley leans on faith and God for support. Savannah Chrisley seems to be leaning on her faith and God for support during this difficult time for her family. The Chrisley clan is the center of controversy right now after Todd and Julie Chrisley were found guilty of alleged bank fraud and tax evasion. Each family member is dealing with it in their own way. Keep reading to see what Savannah posted to her Instagram story. Chrisley's social media goes quiet. There haven't been many posts from Savannah Chrisley over the last 2 weeks. That's not surprising considering her parents were the center of a federal trial, which concluded on June 7th. The pair were found guilty on all 12 counts of tax evasion and fraud. Sentencing is set for October. Between now and then, the couple is under strict house arrest. They are only permitted to leave for medical treatment, religious services, work, meetings with their attorney, or court appearances. On top of that, they are under financial restrictions as well. Todd and Julie are required to notify their probation officer if they make any purchases over $1,000 while they await sentencing. The family has been leaning on each other through this difficult time. Lindsay Chrisley, who had been estranged from her father for several years, was one of the first to speak out about the guilty verdict, saying that she was saddened. Savannah was the next family member to pipe up on social media, sharing a cryptic message. Todd, on the other hand, adjusted his Instagram setting and limited comments on older posts. Normally, he is someone who would confront internet trolls head-on, but he has stayed quiet. He was only recently spotted for the first time since the verdict, accepting a food delivery from his daughter, Savannah. Savannah Chrisley posts about faith. Throughout the trial and since the verdict, the Chrisley family has been leaning on their faith. When the jury went to deliberate, Todd shared a meme that read, "God doesn't give us what we can handle. God helps us handle what we are given." Savannah commented on the post stating that God has us. The Sassy by Savannah owner is continuing to lean on her faith. She shared a post on her Instagram story about the power of prayer. "Nothing is too great for His almighty power," the post read. During the trial and following the verdict, Savannah has been one of her parents' biggest supporters. She has defended them on social media and continued to show her support in various ways, including prayer. The early morning sunlight filtered through the blinds of Savannah Chrisley's Nashville townhouse, catching on the framed photographs lining the hallway. Little reminders of a life that once felt easy, structured, and safe. Now they were echoes. And yet, every morning, she paused in front of each one, touching it gently, as if grounding herself in the people she loved. Today was no different, except the weight felt heavier. The smell of coffee wafted from the kitchen, but Savannah couldn't bring herself to take a sip. She stood frozen at the counter, phone in hand, staring at the message that had just popped up. Court date moved again. Could be months. Her breath caught that familiar ache tightening in her chest. Every time she thought progress was coming for her parents' appeal, something shifted. Another delay. Another vague explanation. Another roadblock. Savannah set the phone down, exhaling shakily. "God, I don't know how much more I can handle." Her voice was barely above a whisper, but saying it aloud felt different, honest, vulnerable. She pressed a hand to her forehead, closing her eyes. And as she often did when the edges of her world felt like they were cracking, she reached for her small, worn devotional book. The binding was bent, the pages soft from being turned over and over. It had been with her through the last 2 years. Every hearing, every sleepless night. Every day she tried to hold her family together. She flipped through until she landed on a page she'd highlighted weeks ago. "When you can't see the path, trust the one who created it." Her throat tightened. This was the piece she clung to when everything else failed. She whispered, "Okay, God. I'll trust. Just stay with me." Later that morning, as she prepared for the taping of her podcast Unlocked, she felt a different energy stirring inside her. She'd cried, she'd prayed, she'd begged God for strength. And slowly, like warmth spreading from the inside, she felt it. A sense of steadiness. A reminder that she wasn't alone. "Make it a good one, Save," she murmured to herself in the bathroom mirror, dabbing her mascara. "Someone out there needs this as much as you do." When she arrived at the studio, her brother Chase was already there, sprawled across the couch like he owned the place. He glanced up and instantly knew. "What happened?" he asked, sitting up straighter. Savannah hesitated, then sighed. Court date moved. Again. His jaw clenched. Unbelievable. "Yeah," she forced a half-smile. "But I'm choosing faith today. Instead of breaking down, I'm going to push forward." Chase softened, the fire in his eyes dimming. You always do. But that's the thing, Savannah said quietly, sinking onto the couch beside him. I'm tired of being strong just because I have to be. I want to be strong because God is carrying me, not because I'm forcing myself to. Chase nodded, his voice low. You're allowed to feel tired, Save. You're not doing this alone. She reached out and squeezed his hand. I know. But deep down, she knew relying on her family wasn't enough. Not for something this big, this personal, this consuming. She needed something unshakable. And that something, she knew, was faith. The podcast episode that day was different from her usual mix of humor and heartfelt confessions. Savannah sat in front of the microphone, inhaled slowly, and spoke with a clarity that came from someplace deeper than fear. I want to talk about trusting God even when everything in your life feels unfair, overwhelming, or impossible. She paused, letting her words breathe. Some days I wake up strong, she continued. Other days, her voice wavered. Other days I feel like I'm barely hanging on. I want answers. I want justice. I want my parents home. Her fingers brushed the small cross necklace resting against her chest. But I've learned that faith isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about knowing God is with you even when everything is not. For nearly an hour she poured her heart out, about the delays, the uncertainty, the crushing pressure of raising her siblings, and the constant fear that she wasn't doing enough. But more importantly, she spoke about the peace she found in scripture, prayer, and surrender. When the recording ended, the studio felt still, like the world had paused in reverence. That was powerful, the producer whispered. Savannah gave a small, humble nod. I just needed to say it. But she knew it wasn't just for her listeners. It was for herself. That evening, back at home, she received a text from her mother. We're proud of you. God is using you. Keep your chin up, baby. Savannah pressed the phone to her heart as tears blurred her vision. She imagined Julie in her prison bunk, typing those words slowly on the tiny tablet screen. She imagined her dad encouraging her from his side of the facility, telling her to stay strong, stay faithful, stay true. Her voice cracked as she whispered, I miss you both so much. She moved to the balcony, breathing in the cool Tennessee air. City lights shimmered around her, but she looked upward, toward the silent, starlit sky. God, she murmured, I don't know what the future holds, but I know you're holding us. So I'll keep going. I'll keep believing. And I'll keep trusting that you're working even when I can't see it. And in that moment, the loneliness eased. Not because her problems were solved, but because she felt wrapped in a presence that was bigger than her pain, stronger than her fear, and gentler than her tears. Her faith didn't erase the hardship, but it carried her through it. Across town, listeners began downloading her newest episode. Messages poured in, people sharing their own struggles, their own prayers, their own stories of clinging to God in the dark. And Savannah realized something. Every time she leaned on faith, she wasn't just finding strength for herself. She was lighting a path for others too. She closed her eyes, letting the peace settle deep in her chest. Thank you, she whispered, to God, to her parents, to her own resilience. Because she finally understood.